Okie doke. We're going to start just a very short screencast about how to size one of our musicians for our assignment 2 composition that we're making. And all I've done is I have just opened him up. I haven't done anything else. He's just open in Photoshop. You can see this is his tab. And we are going to immediately go to image size, so Command Option I or Control Alt I on Windows. And as we open it up, the resolution is already 300, which is fantastic. So if this is the way yours looks, it's 300. You want to click Resample. Now we only go to Resample once the resolution is at 300. If it was not at 300, we would change it. We would unclick Resample rather and change it, and then come back and click it back on once it's at 300. Because it's already there, all we have to do is make sure this proportion constraint icon is engaged, and this is what it looks like when it's not on, and this is what it looks like when it is on. We want it to look like this always, unless you want to distort something, and we don't in this class. And all I'm going to do is change just the height. The assignment asked for something, but I think it was between 7 and 9 inches tall. I'm going to opt for the tallest because that's what it kind of looked like. This width dimension changed with it automatically. That's because it is constraining to the proportion. It is not distorting, and that's what we want it to do. And we're going to say OK. And then we're going to go to our layer panel. We're going to double click on the default background label and call it musician. And I'm going to try to spell that better. I'm going to call it musician 2 since that's what it was called. I'm going to say OK. I'm going to immediately make it into a smart object by right-clicking on the layer, going down to convert to smart object. Notice that the icon changes. And now we've got a smart object, but now we have to make a selection and mask that background away. So I'm going to use the quick selection tool. I'm going to go to W to get to that tool set. In this case, it came up right away, but it might have come up with the magic wand. In that case, you want to make sure which one's which. Start really paying attention to what those little icons look like. And just because we're on the tool doesn't mean that everything's going to go particularly well. I'm finding that the most important thing to do is to look at what brush setting you might have. So in this case, I'm pretty good, but let's say you just want to make sure when you're doing a quick selection that the hardness or softness, the hardness is up. It's at 100%. And then the size is up to you. I'm going to assume, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to actually look at what the cursor looks like when I bring it over. So I'm going to click to get out of the brush settings, and then look at my cursor. My cursor is a circle. If yours is not, like if it looks like that, just a crosshair, that means your caps lock might be on, so unclick your caps lock. It should be a circle. If you're not seeing a circle because it looks kind of like that, that means you've got a teeny tiny brush, so hit that right bracket. So right to the right of the P key or 2 bracket keys, and click that, and right is up and left is down, meaning up, enlarge or decrease the brush size. And I'm going to be a little scientific, and I'm going to make sure my brush isn't much bigger than his arm, kind of the width of his arm. That's just me. And then I'm just going to start by making sure that as I move, I keep that crosshair definitely in the middle of the image and not hitting that background. And as you can see, I'm just going kind of quickly. And I'm going to go back and around and then down his legs. It's really nice. It kind of picked the black of his pants. I'm going to kind of pull it over into that shadowy part of his t-shirt. I'm moving over to his left arm, up the neck of the guitar, and down the guitar, and then kind of over where it needs to select. And I'm seeing one place where I'm just going to move very, very slightly over to his ear and see if I can get the ear to go. And I have now got marching ants all around the perimeter of him. The only thing I think I'm missing is probably those keys of the guitar, and I can fix that later in the mask. So I've selected him. I have not selected the background, so I do not need to invert anything. I just click the mask button at the bottom of the layers panel. And there we have it. There is the mask. There are some pieces here that are not perfect, so I could zoom in by going to Command plus, and then I use the space bar to get that hand cursor. It's actually not as good as we thought. Now I'm going to go to a brush by going to B. Now my brush went to a pencil tool. I'm going to go to the brush tool. I'm going to check up here to make sure that I'm on all the way hardness. Again, for clicking on the brush, that I want to be on normal mode. All of these things should be 100%. And then to click out, you just click away. And I'm going to paint with white because I want to reveal that finger that seems to be missing. Now I'm going to make my brush smaller by going to that left bracket. I'm going to click X up to just toggle these so that the white, the active color, is on top. And then I'm just going to go in and I'm going to paint the finger in. And I think maybe there's some things here that maybe could be a little bit better. And then this is going to get a little tricky because I'm trying to figure out where those keys are. So I might actually get a bigger brush and just kind of reveal all those. And then zoom in even farther. Click the X key to click to black that we're going to now paint with. And I'm going to go in and I'm just going to, actually, you know what I could do? I could go in with the magic wand tool now. And I could click on the gray part. Now I need to be on the photograph. So this is the tricky part, is you're over on the mask, and usually I want you to be there, but I actually want you to be on the photograph when you make the selection. In other words, the left-hand part of that layer. And if you click, it actually is clicking the background because I clicked on the gray. So now I'm going to go back over to the mask, meaning this part of the layer, the black and white mask. I've got a brush going, and this is kind of you have to switch to your brush tool, and I've got black loaded into the brush, and if you notice, it's kind of like a coloring book. It's great. Because you can only paint in the area that's selected, it's doing a lot of work for me here. So I want to be careful and just go in like so. And there we have it. Pretty nice. Even in here, I think I could get it. Ooh, even in here maybe. No, I'm not going to worry about that. That's looking pretty good. I don't see anything else right now that needs to be worked on, but you need to deselect so you don't get confused. So Command E to get rid of that selection. And now we have a mask on him that's a little bit better. We're going to move this whole image over onto our assignment where we could still edit the mask as necessary because I'm actually seeing even the sneakers aren't perfect. But to watch how to do the dragging the one smart object over onto your assignment file, it's very simple. You're going to want to go to Window, Arrange, Tile All Vertically. That puts both images side by side. And you want to look at your layer panel. Now I'm on, when the tab is lighter or it changes color, this is the active one. And you can always tell by you can always use your layer panel to just see what's going on. That means I know I'm on this file. I'm on this selected layer. It's a smart object with a mask attached. Now the only thing that can happen is that if you inadvertently unclick this little chain link in between the mask and the photograph and the layers panel, don't. Make sure that you have that linked up. So you want to see that chain link. You're going to take, with the Move tool, which is this, which you go to by going to V, you're just going to go in the middle of the image with your cursor, click, hold down the cursor, release when it gets over to your sample file, your assignment file, And then we've got now, our guy is over in the assignment file rather, and let's see what's happening. Now I like to, I think with this assignment, I believe that you don't really need to scale, meaning transform it down at all. But at least you can see that's how you brought him over. You can see there's still some issues with his guitar and actually with his shoes. So I'm just going to show you that right away. So if I zoom in, and maybe you got a better selection than me, I'm here. Here's my smart object, right? Even though this is now, it's got the backgrounds on it. In fact, I'm going to pull him out of the background folder. All you do is you pull the layer up. And it's kind of great because the background's helping us see the issues with the mask. I'm going to make sure I am painting with white at this point because I lost a little bit. I somehow concealed some of the guitar. I'm going to switch to make sure I'm painting with white. I'm going to go to B to go to my brush tool, and I'm just going to really carefully paint in. This isn't going to be perfect because actually with this one we need to get some of those things back in. And really, if we were really good, we would go all the way in, and I'll show you how we could do that. I'm not expecting brilliance with you guys because this is all a little bit new. But we could do the same technique we did before. I'm going to click over onto the photograph part of the layer of the smart object. I'm going to go back to that magic wand tool. I'm going to click on the gray parts of and that's the background. And then this is now where we want to switch to the mask, go back to our brush, and paint now. To paint it out, we're going to hit the X key, paint with black, and the marching ants are helping us here. And they're going to just help us because all it's done is it's selected the background and saying we're only going to paint out the background. And then when you feel like that's pretty good, you're going to go to Control D to deselect. And if you wanted, you could get even fancier and kind of come in here and clean it up a little bit. And that's the way we would do that. And maybe this would even come up. So that's the way you would do that. I'm going to zoom out, Control minus. I'll give you a little hint that I believe this guy is positioned at 100%. If you wanted to, if you thought he should be smaller, you would go to Command or Control T, and you would simply go from a corner handle, and you would just move it. Now you do never want to go like so. And this is where I want you to actually see something. See how he has still got an active transformation. And if you look up here into the options bar or the control bar, it says 113.42% by 118.52%. On a lot of levels, that's wrong. Number one, these two numbers, right here and right here, should always be the same number. Otherwise, we're distorting. So to be really obvious, see what happens? Now it's only a 74% versus 121. These need to be the same number. So if I put 100% and I click the link, it automatically makes it 100%. That's great. When we place an image, we never want the number to be more than 100%. It could be 98. That's fine. Then you would just hit the return key. It's taking a while. So there you go. That's how you would do that. Again, you're going to move these things around as you populate it with more of the other musicians. I hope this made sense. That's how you do it. And